mean, to be specific here, I think that the whole gay lifestyle is very, very destructive. They have the highest level of suicide, the highest level of partner violence, the highest level of disease. I'm not somebody who sits up here and judges people or hates them. But I do care about people. And I also, now that I'm older, realize how dangerous promiscuity is. I mean, I think that is just as bad. I think, you know, you could sit around and joke about it. And I was joking about it with Mancow the other day, the talk show host, when he said most men don't seem like they're aggressively attracted to women. I was just uncontrollably attracted to women. And I still am. But, I mean, I guess I'm married and love my wife and, you know, have psychologically grown. But I'm not here judging people that just want to run around fornicating, except for the fact that it's destructive and dangerous, and it results in abortions and, you know, results in health problems. Thank God I never had any problems. But if I, you know, I mean, if I could be a teenager again and look back on it, you know, I'm not proud of the things I did. And, of course, I was just par for the course growing up in Dallas, Texas, and then Austin. I went to high school part of the time in a suburb of Dallas, and then here in Austin. And, I mean, it was just, you know, I mean, the women were ready to go. And I was ready to go as well. My issue, though, about the homosexuality at Bohemian Grove, this was in Harper's Magazine. They interviewed Nixon back in the 70s when he was president. And he talked about Bohemian Grove and how he had to go there for political power when he was running for governor, his unsuccessful bid. He'd been a senator, of course, hooked in with Prescott Bush. And he called it the most GD faggy thing you can imagine. And then after he died, they actually, Harper's did another article. People didn't believe it and released the audio tape of the taped interview with the reporter. I mean, he let him tape it. So you can just search Nixon. I'm not going to play it on air because it has profanity in it. Nixon used a lot of profanity. But you can search Richard Nixon talks about Bohemian Grove. And at Bohemian Grove, just while I was there, there were, you know, there was a big photo of Henry Kissinger bent over with his butt sticking out, wearing women's panties, simulating, I don't even want to say it with children listening. And by the way, I was sworn to secrecy at the time. I was sworn to secrecy, and wearing my journalist hat, I always, unless it's something completely illegal, I follow my journalistic integrity. You know, if somebody came to me and said, as a journalist, I'm going to tell you a secret. Okay, tell me the secret. Oh, I murdered somebody. I mean, I would be forced to call the police. You know, one time we had a fella show up and say, they're investigating me. They think I firebombed the governor's mansion. And he tried to give me this big box of material, or my crew, and I thought it could be a setup to set me up for the firebombing. And so, but plus, I just had to call. I mean, I called the state police, and they came out, and because I had to. But short of that, I will never break, you know, the journalist code. And it is the journalist code that if something's illegal, you've got to talk about it. But John Ronson snuck in as well, and it had me swear for liability issues and never say that he went in. And then a year later, he publishes a book saying he snuck in there with me, and he writes about Kissinger, if you want to read it. So it's not just me that saw this. Kissinger with a bunch of other world leaders dressed as women, bent over, simulating inserting fingers in their rectums. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I was trying to hide out and stay away from people and being questioned by Secret Service with Mike Hansen, who also snuck in with me. And Ronson saw me get in successfully and decided he was going to sneak in the same way. So I didn't even know he was going to sneak in until I later saw him walking down one of the forest paths and didn't say anything. But the point is, Ronson backs up what I saw. And then later, widows, it's happened in 2 cases, sent me internal annals, 10-year annals. And it's Bush Sr. and Jr. speaking. And the media never, you know, said don't call W Jr., but he's called Jr. in those in those books, and they dress in drag. It's admitted in Spy Magazine, People Magazine, CBS News. that limos just drive in all day long and jets land from New York and L.A. with the gay prostitutes. And I didn't understand, because in 2000, I was a lot better looking than I am now. I was about 30 pounds lighter than I am now. And people seen the videos of him. I mean, I see women commenting on YouTube, man, he's handsome. And I was pretty handsome then. And Mike was a handsome guy. And I hadn't done my research properly on Bohemian Grove. And I'd heard that there was a lot of homosexuality in there. But you've got to be there to believe it. And I had old men whistling at me and coming at me. And I had groundskeepers laughing at us and whistling at us. And I literally probably only walked around for an hour of the 5 hours, because I was questioned by Secret Service, by Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies. Luckily, with a straight face, I knew enough about the camps to say I'm a member of the Hillbillies, knowing that was a Texas camp. They have over 100 camps within the 2,700 acres, log cabins. And so, and then it got dark, and they reportedly at this pool, this little lake, have this idol, and there was the idol. And I know that Moloch was a bull in Sumeria, but occultists always mix and match. They addressed it as Moloch in their literature, as Moloch during the ritual, and as Lilith, which is the owl god, or sometimes represented by an owl. And they went through this incantation of conjuring the dead Bohemian Grove members that had been there. And I was with those old men on the beach, looking across the 50, 60 yards at the owl, and they were grinding their teeth and in reverent rapture. And Mike Hansen sitting beside me, you can even hear this on the audio if you boost it up, because we were trying to shoot video of this. There's a little hidden camera on my side, trying to halfway climb up the knots on a tree to get above the people's heads, because the camera was hidden at my side. It's in the film Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, by the way, and then I went back to Bohemian Grove and covered it a few years later. And so there's two films in one on the DVD titled Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. That's an hour-and-a-half film, and the 46-minute documentary, again, both films on one DVD, The Order of Death. And Mike was like, oh, that's interesting. And they would just look at him with hatred, even though he was whispering, oh, that's nice. Like he was in a crowd of people. No, they were taking this like he was talking in church. And then you have the New York Post and the rest of it reporting that, headline, Chad Savage, gay porn star, services moguls. That was the headline. And so many other headlines in that Spy magazine piece. And we have video shots of that in the films. Another reporter who successfully snuck in but then got caught, he was still able to write about it. He just was unable to get any photos. He just described being hit on. And so my point is, when you see the Republican leadership, if they've been to Bohemian Grove, they are sent there to be compromised. And it just shows you how everything you're told is not what reality really is. Just like they tell you, we promise you these body scanners do not have any radiation and cannot hurt you. And we promise you they cannot even be saved. And then it turns out they're saving everything. At the state courthouses, at the federal courthouses that have them, at the airports. It's now completely admitted. They lied to you openly from the beginning, because they're all confident. And the Democrats have their weird Bohemian Grove with Maurice Strong in Colorado. And reportedly similar things go on there, but women are involved as well. Helmut Schmidt, German chancellor, before Helmut Kohl, he wrote the book Men and Powers, a political retrospective. We own the book. I did shots of the text. I underlined it in the film. And he says, we do our own rituals at our own Druidic grove. Remember, Jesus said, don't go to the groves, cut down the groves where they do these rituals. People say, Jesus was for cutting down trees. No, he meant in their holy groves where they do the sacrifices. Now, that's in the Bible. It's the same stuff going on 2,000 years ago, or 2,010 years ago, is going on now. And Schmidt says, oh, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, we run the planet, one world government, it's so wonderful. He wrote this. And he says, we have our own groves to do rituals, but my favorite place to do rituals is Bohemian Grove, and I travel every year. And he says more decisions get made there than even the Trilateral Commission or Bilderberg Group. The real decisions get made there while they're on drugs and drinking, and some of the men like women, but it's men only, so they drive into Monte Rio that's got 4 or 5 hotels. And when you're there during that season, there are just hookers everywhere. You know, when you're outside the Grove, there are just beautiful, you know, number 10 hookers, females, just, and they go to the local golf course to be picked up. So the Grove members drive over there, and they want a female, and they also pick up the males and drive them in with them. And this is who your leadership is. Most of these Republican leaders you see up on television that go to Bohemian Grove, go to a forest retreat, dress up like women, do bizarre black magic rituals, and have sex with gay porn stars and gay prostitutes. I mean, that's a fact. Richard Nixon talked about it. Okay? I mean, nothing you've been told is true. And the caller brought this up, and I've now gone into a 10-minute rant about it, or 5-minute rant, whatever it is. Well, let's be technical. 9-minute rant. 7-minute rant. 3's the charm. I only got it right. 7-minute rant. I've done this 7-minute rant on this subject, and I mean, I don't blame people not believing it. The British journalist said, I can't go in there because World of Wonder and Channel 4 England won't allow me to because of liability. It's real. I've got people inside. They do this ritual. There's all sorts of gay stuff going on. I will pay you your expenses, and I'll also videotape you doing it. And he said, I know you've infiltrated military operations and things like that. This should be a piece of cake for you. And I said, sure. Sure, I'll do it, but I don't believe that stuff. I mean, just 11 years ago, this happened 10, but he talked to me about 6 months before we did it. He was covering some of the things we were doing up at Waco, building a memorial chapel up there, John Ronson. He also wrote Men Who Stare at Goats, turned into the big movie that you've seen about General Stubblebine that's really a whitewash. But his book, Them, covers the Bohemian Grove fiasco or escapade. And I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just, you go in there and you see this, and you got old men trying to pick you up, and it was literally like I was the cat, and they were Pepe Le Pew, the skunk, in that Warner Brothers cartoon. I mean, it was just, oh, thank you. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm handsome. Well, thank you. Have a nice day. With drunk old men going, you know, corporate CEOs and people. I mean, it's gross. And again, meanwhile, I'm being chased like Pepe Le Pew through there, along with Mike Hansen. John Ronson's not very handsome. He didn't have any problems. According to him. But I'm just joking, John. You're just who could make this? Who could make up that they're in the news every day saying, we want to only let you have one child, and we are putting drugs in your water to make you submit to us, and we want to give you vaccines to make you submit. I mean, who could make up that every major insurance company is brazenly telling Bloomberg, well, we've changed the rules and we're allowed to keep your insurance money when your husband gets killed in Iraq, so we're just going to do it. And yeah, we're recording your naked bodies and we lied to you about it. I mean, look, I'm not the one doing all this crazy stuff. I know it sounds crazy because I'm the one talking about it, but it's all real. It's all real. And these people are crazy. A normal person wants to go fishing or camping. I never get tired of it. You know, I read about these elitists who have all these mistresses and all this money and all this power, and they always get into sick, weird stuff because there's something wrong with them. And normal people who just want to never get sick of beef and cheese enchiladas, never get sick of camping or fishing or hunting, never get sick of swimming in a river, never get tired of watching a sunset, never get tired of water skiing, never get tired of kissing my wife, never get tired of loving my children, never get tired of visiting my grandmother, and I'm a weirdo. I'm the weirdo because I'm normal. And the sickos run things, and they're turning our society into their